And we are back with another Rivals Pro match, still from Winners Package Round 1, between Yannini and the Moo this time. And we are just before the map pick and ban phase, which will be followed by the first item ban phase, and of course the first of up to 3 maps. Joining me today is ChrisX3, the winner of the previous match. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. I'm here against my will. If someone could help me, that would be great. I'm trapped in this guy's basement. He lives in Hungary. I don't know what to do.
So everything in order, nothing has changed, and Yannini has banned Wiltoton Creek. That's also one of a reasonable or like more expected choices from him.
Yeah, it's a quick one for sure.
Yep, we've just hit 40 past the hour, and starting with 2 bans each, or no, 2 bans in total,
Miami.
1 each, and another hit from Season 2 Miami won't be played.
That's interesting. In my mind, I don't know what Moo's strong maps are as well, but in my mind, it was going to be probably a Haven Island pick for Yannini, is what I would think. So that ban on Miami. I haven't seen too much of Miami from Yannini, but maybe that's just a map that Moo really doesn't like in general.
So I haven't seen the R stats recently, but I think Yannini has like something ridiculous, like 13 out of 15 or 14 out of 16 wins in Miami. So it could have been just a quick scope at the
Fair.
page. And I definitely agree about the Haven Island pick. And I'm not really understanding why it's taking so long, because it is not Haven in the end, it is a Sapienza pick. Your first ban, and I remembered our talk yesterday of this not being as competitive as the other 6. But we will have to endure this one just to make your basement experience even worse.
Oh no. At least I have a PC.
And this Sapienza shouldn't take as long, but of course it will depend on the item bans and the spin as well. But I think after Hokkaido this could be probably the second quickest map. Wiltoton of course still there, and usually with the 1 cycle ending there, and Isle of Sgáil will be the second map, I think for the first time in this tournament.
Yeah, I think so as well. And now just the decider left. Yannini instantly banned Hokkaido, being the quickest map of the 3 left as a decider. I can agree with that on some levels.
And then just the big 5, the 2 representative was the big 5 remaining. I think from left to right, these 2 have been voted as the 2 most competitive maps. I don't think, or maybe this is now alphabetical. I don't remember anymore.
I don't think it was in any particular order, but yeah, Haven Island. It's interesting to be a choice for Moo as the decider. But I think Yannini definitely strong in both Haven and Berlin. And yeah, it's interesting to have a tournament where not only do you know what the decider is ahead of time, but you kind of get to pick it yourself.
Yeah, and I think it wouldn't be as dramatic with the 18 map pool, and at
sure.
one point I imagined the map.gg like used between 2 R competitors, but you would just ban and ban and ban and ban, and just never going to be enjoyable. But for 7, or as Punk suggested, for the future 9 maps, I think it's a very nice process, and we have our 3 maps of 2 we will definitely play. Of course on the match page, now actually on the map page, and we will hear from the items very soon. It's still a rule that if you pick the map, you ban the item second, so it's Moody's ban first, and then Yanni is getting ready with something as well.
Yeah, I think we see in Yannini's loadout at least the 2 items that I'd probably be most likely to ban on Sapienza, which are the Trank and the EMP. I think those are kind of like the only 2 on Sapienza that like you sort of always want to have in your loadout. I mean, obviously the sniper is an option for the virus, but it's hard to completely limit the options with these bans. It's more about just kind of throwing off your opponent.
And I think the EMP will definitely do that. There are the two types of people, of course, and one who will always enter the map with a tactical on his back. But the other type will be just a tiny bit intimidated by the lack of EMP.
And then there's the third type that bans shurikens.
Yes, that surprised me, but sadly didn't set me back enough. And I also considered just using the new bat for the second map, but it's a competition after all, so I'm just not allowed to be BMing anyone. But still had a great fun playing my first match, and you did pretty well from what we've seen. Of course, the runs after the technical difficulties were pretty nice, and well-deserved 2-0 from Chris as well. So can we predict the items from Moose loadout before we see the text appear? Because I think by now they have finished the item bans.
Yeah, it looks like Punk's typing a part message for us here.
EMP is out of Yannini's loadout. And all silence pistols we have to be gun as well. Which is exactly where Moose stops. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty easy Seeker non-ghost in the loadout, I think, for both players, I would imagine. I mean, it depends on where they end up having to start, but I think that's a pretty safe bet for all of your options.
Yeah, it's like, it's not even... So what's the actions do you really want to use this, the silence pistol for, other than silence pistol kills, which are of course now out of the question? It's really the panel, which can be exchanged by the sniper shot or even a loud pistol shot, and of course the stalactite, but lack of EMP and usually the tactical, but of course anything other than the ghost, as you said, will do that just as well.
Yeah, and there's Moo asking in the chat if FA counts as a silenced pistol for the condition. I mean, I'm not the one running the tournament, but I did hit him with the yes, because, you know, if you got a spin with a silenced pistol kill condition, that would count for that kill, so might as well just bring a SMG at that point.
Yeah, a good call, I believe, as well. Of course, he means the FA stealth, and I think there's a regular FA which no one ever uses. He could use that technically for flex, I guess. But yeah, as long as the suppressed icon is there, it is a silence pistol.
We'll go ahead and allow the Ducky edition, but that's it.
Oh, I missed the meme of whichever gun was called the Pog gun. I think that was the Ducky with a different skin for like 3 days before IO realized that they leaked their own stuff in advance. But
yep,
that was fun, and I think we have a first spin as well, which should be fun, and it's yours, Chris.
We have Silvio Crusoe's sniper rifle as the delivery man, and then Francesco DeSantis with a falling object as the waiter. Now, hopefully they tuned into Infrafun's previous stream for this Franny kill. And the delivery man disguise grab as well.
Oh wow, it's actually stolen from the VODs. But the sniper rifle essentially forces the same or very similar loadouts for both players. Moo did not have the sniper before the spin, he had 2 tranks if I'm not mistaken, so there goes the variety, and I'm going a different direction, going for the waiter first, as Yanni already has the delivery man.
Yeah, and sort of as always with Sapienza, you just kind of have a few points in mind that you know you need to hit on the map, and it's kind of who can create the web between those in the best possible way, and we see both of them taking different paths to try and figure that out.
Yanni will be very quick into the mansion, but will he take any detours for a waiter disguise? And he's going to take his hidden stash. I was just considering if you could lure someone in here and use it as a proxy disguise, because there are still 1.5 minutes until the all important 2.5 minute mark, and probably just going to be a setup and then just go outside for the disguise, as Moo has the delivery man and is acquiring the waiter as well, so that's more setup for the first cycle.
Yeah, Yannini, I don't know, perhaps going to try for some sort of remote setup on Francesca. I doubt it, considering the eyes that are kind of around in that area, but it would be something different to see for sure. Probably
Yanni's
just
arriving.
figures that
Yep.
waiter's the more annoying disguise to grab and just kind of wants to not have to deal with that while he's on this timer.
Yanni will be sort of playing with fire. Of course, these two guards are always trouble if you can't KO both of them, and he has one down and lockdown of Francesca, and we can see the other one now
yeah, he's
arriving
coming.
back. And
Will he get... Oh,
soft
already
lock-
the gun flash.
and the gun flash will keep on. Well, it's just how is that still
Well,
not
he can't really trank him right here, but the flash is gone, so he's gonna have to be quick with this.
That's the restart
Soon
of
as
the
that-
flash.
As soon as that guard walks around the door to that room, he's gonna see the body. Is he gonna go anywhere though? Is the question.
And will the body be seen by someone?
Yeah.
Yes, sadly.
So he's gonna have to deal with this guy again, but at least he can try to take the time to get rid of these bodies, and then he doesn't have as much to worry about.
And
Give him some more time.
I would say there's still a slight chance that probably not. Probably the flash happened before the body is being found, because otherwise we would have a picture-in-picture. So we can be safe to assume that the run is not over. But with red guns, it's always a bit difficult. But now this whole ordeal of waking him up, right next to the window where two KO'd bodies could end the run at any given moment.
And we see on the other side of the screen, Moo's in his waiter disguise. He's got this room cleared out, and he's getting ready to go for the Francesca kill in just a moment. So that'll give him a fairly decent lead. I mean, he's already got the delivery man, but it is a decent ways away.
I'm not sure if he fully looked for the one roaming guard, who could be an issue, but it's usually not the case here, and Moo gets the first kill down. Falling object well done, and of course we've seen the delivery man disguise set up.
And Yannini's playing peekaboo with this guy. Not literally, but... There we go.
Gets there eventually, still red guns, and not the correct disguise
And-
of Frenny kill.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time before those guns go back to green. So, I imagine he'll grab the Silvio kill along the way, but, you know, there's always like that 1% chance that he's wrecked the run at this point.
And I was almost going to say that bad news for Yannini, he already shot the panel, but this is far from over, and Silvio is actually quite close, and this might be a quicker kill than just any sort of setup. Yanni has the first Silvio kill, of course Moo already done with Francesca, and now time to get that second disguise.
Say the word, I'm ready.
And Moo having delivery man set up already seems like a nice advantage compared to Yannini, who has to get a waiter. And I'm not quite sure what items he has for that. For Moo it's just a straight run, and only having to
And with,
pick up the sniper rifle later.
I mean, with the only bans being the silenced pistol and the EMP, your options are pretty wide open with this waiter grab. So it might be... I was just going to go for a lure. I was going to say it might be an emetic tool, but...
I thought I'd seen it, but it might have been either Moo or Yanni, but before the bans.
Just a single trank dart left.
It's definitely
And Moo's waiting for this woman, and now watch what happens when he walks through this door. Oh, he's fine.
no problems there, but of course still
Goes
trespassing.
through the kitchen even.
And
Yeah,
now
I mean,
he's back in
it's
the
one of
queue.
those things. Like the consulate in Marrakesh, you just never remember that you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, or the school as waiter, or local printing
Yep.
crew. That's kill number 2, and the silent sniper reacquired. Very straightforward run there. I imagine both of these players have done many spins with the EMP, but the sniper as well, so don't really expect any hiccups.
For all intents and purposes, Moose just about wrapped it up here. I mean, his only issue at this point would be getting spotted on the way to the plane, since he's in a hostile area and everybody's going to be panicked, but just kind of got to weave your way through.
Maybe missing the drop, but that's not anything remotely possible from Mu, or like most mechanically strong players. Mu takes the first map, Yanni like 90 seconds behind, but there are no photo finishes either, so that's a wrap for the first map. And now we are going to scale for the first time in this tournament.
Yeah, and that was... Yannini is the one that picks Sapienza as well, I believe, and then going over to Sgáil and potentially Haven is the next two maps. I mean, those are two maps that... I mean, you know, Yannini's played all of these maps extensively, but I think those are two maps that he's fairly comfortable on, so...
Could definitely see a comeback, but...
Absolutely.
We'll be very dependent on these items, and we can definitely have different stories here emerge. The ban of Seeker would make the Architect strat, the double Seeker, obsolete. The MOC strategies could be not ruined, but made harder by the lack of Calmers, or the Sniper for the instant shot on the Money Pit.
And we have Moose saying in the chat, thanks for putting Sniper in the spin. I forgot that existed as an option. So that might have been what gave him the win on that spin. He was talking about potentially bringing an FA. So I assume his original plan was just going to be to shoot the stalactite. Or maybe try to snipe the virus with a semi-auto weapon.
I wouldn't put it past. Yeah, I guess it's semi-auto. But it's silence. It would have been silence. So yeah, good question regardless. You won't see it this time, but a solid first try from both of them, I would say, but 8-1 for Yanni, and indeed just over a minute slower than Mu.
And it'll be Yanni up first to pick the item ban for this upcoming map. If we go to a decider, they'll pick simultaneously.
And I'm just trying to think what kind of strategies I would see Yanni do there, and he's more of an advocate for MOC than Seeker. So yeah, would that mean... Yeah?
I think, as you mentioned, like, the Trank's kind of the most catch-all ban that you can get on Sgáil. I mean, like, MOC works with basically every spin. It's just a question of if it's slower or not. So if that's what people have is, like, a comfort strat, that could mess with them. Other than that, I mean, I think it's like a lot of the other matches that we've seen, like, sometimes what makes the most sense is just banning all darts.
Yeah, and of course you try to give yourself an advantage along the way, maybe have more strategies ready there, but of course most of the time it will just hit both of you the same way, so I guess it's reasonable to see the old darts bans most of the time and then just try to improvise it from there. At least that's the story of the first two maps, first 2 days so far. Indeed, I'm very excited, and I'm not seeing any loadouts, sadly, which would be any items removed from there, so we will just wait for Punky again, and he will let us know which two items or groups of items will be gone.
Stream snipe your opponent's loadout to figure out what to ban.
Eventually, probably would become an issue, but...
Yannini going with the most popular strat, bringing the micro remote explosive on Sgáil. Can't live without it. All silent snipers.
So it was Mu's pick and Yanni first, and Yanni must have thought starting the top of the, I think it's the chapel start, and then shooting the money fire, the money pit, shooting, like lighting the fire. And I would say that it's something that's been talked about for a very tiny bit, that just shooting it immediately and isolating Zoe still leaves you with just enough time for Sophia. But I think it's that territory where you have to rely on Zoe, but I just don't know how much, and maybe Yanni wanted to get rid of that random element.
Yeah, I mean, that's a strat I have used before, but very rarely have I looked at a spin and thought that that was going to be like a strat that works the best for me. So, you know, maybe it's like playing off of the fact that you're not comfortable with that strat. So if there is a spin that works best with it, then you want to have to not worry about that. Of course, Silent Sniper isn't the only option for doing that either, but it kind of rules out that thought immediately.
But you're right, I would absolutely love that Moose still starts Chapel and just shoots it with a pistol and still gets the perfect spin for that. And then the snail, it's useful for disguises, but there's nothing jumps out at me other than probably the morgue.
Yeah, I mean, snail's just like in general one of the strongest items in the game, so I think it's just either not having it, which I don't imagine is the case, or just, I don't know, maybe your opponent has some grab that's like specific to it or something.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think, but of course Blake is micro audio distraction, so it's an item which uses distraction, but not in the snail's way, and otherwise Portman's Arc Member Disguise is a nice quick grab if you don't want to go all the way down, but it's also not seen a lot. And then otherwise it's the tiny bit of advantage you can get for basically just throw the dice again and just be a bit quicker in that part of the spin thanks to the snail. But we won't see that, of course, in this spin.
I'm trying to think, I don't even remember exactly what my default loadout is on Scale. It's like both dart guns, a crowbar, and I don't know, maybe a snail if I felt like it, but
yeah, you can go surprisingly far with like, very little items.
I think there's probably more useful cases for like a remote medic than a snail on this map at least.
Yeah, it makes sense. Plenty of roaming NPCs, which can be a factor later on, and Moo unfazed by the sniper ban he's getting ready for. I would say it's a flash phone strat, but won't you be using a flash phone? I would say the meme junkie strat, but at this point so many are using it. I guess we'll see if it's actually the case, because the spin is here in a couple of seconds and we see what's the best strategy for it. Zoe Washington Shotgun Architect, Sophie Washington Electrocution Guard. So I think Yanni has the better idea with the Architect start, and he'll be the first to load in after the shotgun exchange, and will likely be a quick one, this one.
Yeah, I mean, starting up top, I mean, that's a pretty simple remote setup for Sophia. Then you've already got both of the things you need for Zoe. And then, I mean, you would have to imagine an MOC lure at that point, but of course it's not your only option. You just have to get a guard disguise if you chose to do something else.
If Yanni is quick enough with the Seeker and manages to get the puddle working quick enough, then this is definitely a double Seeker possibility, and Sophia can be isolated, the electrocution set up, and then Zoe Seeker at the 115 mark, and you have one kill and one ISO by 145, and plenty of guards very close by, actually in the adjacent room, so wouldn't really say it's a sub 2, but let's see if someone can get it. This will be really quick. Of course someone will check in on the body, but it's a guard so far away. Yanni will be set back just a bit.
Quick drop on that, perhaps. But also luring in the door guard from Moo's side.
Yeah, I think it... Oh, Moo can get red there and gets combat as well.
Yeah. He's going to be shot to death over the fact that there's water that's been spilled on the floor. So that's going to be a restart. And then Yannini's looking quickly already. Go for the second isolation here.
I'm not exactly sure if he managed to get the full electro setup ready. Of course, the puddle's there. Not hard to drop the taser, and of course he didn't, so he has to jack the bodies really quickly. He has 60 seconds to do so, plus a bit. But still, for a first try, it will be absolutely crucial to have this electro setup and then Zoe down before she finishes puking. It's the last dart that Yanni has. He of course has a minute of lead, but he doesn't know that, and every bit can count on this short spin like this. Oh, Mirror causing more problems for Moo. The prompt was there and got wrecked by the Mirror split second after.
Yeah, and for such a simple spin, I mean, to have 2 rips there at the beginning is really puts Moo quite far behind. I think we'd absolutely have to see a rip from Yannini very shortly for him to have a way to catch up.
Yeah, this is quite over, but 2 things still remain. The question is, when will this guard come into the room, and will he do so once Zoe is down? I think it's a quite recent change. Less than half a year ago this changed, that the guard doesn't follow Zoe into the bathroom, and of course now just going for this guard won't cause any issues.
Nice to see that door guard doesn't care at all.
Little bit of whoosh from everyone, but one guard should still come into the room eventually, and that will be the second disguise and the second kill after. Not quite the sub 2, but it's high pressure environment for Yanni playing for his winner's bracket life. And after all, a less than 3.5 minute first try will equalize this match, and for the second time in Rivals Pro we will go to decider.
Just a very convincing performance here from Yannini. Obviously knew what he wanted to do the second he loaded into the map, and that was a pretty straightforward usage of that strat there that gave him a very big advantage. I mean, Mo's kind of doing the same thing here, so we would have imagined we would have seen something approximating a photo finish. I mean, they're not in the event, but would have been close for sure.
Yeah, and we might see the end of this from Moo, and I also missed his setup because Yanni was finishing there, but there is the taser in the puddle, so we don't see the end of Moo's round, but should he go for the same guard disguise, then we will be looking at 2.5 minutes there. So it's just the early rips which making the difference for this second map. And then the no time limit Haven Island Decider with 2 item bans to come, any one of which can be emetic related. I think this can be really exciting, but also potentially really slow. I think the one combination which people were playing for, or predicting playfully to have end in a tie, is an emetic-less Haven, which of course still not the worst thing ever, but probably the biggest obstacle that you can create yourself with 2 item bans.
I refuse. I would absolutely be bringing in a medic grenade for that. But
yeah, I suppose that emetic-less, but getting rid of the device and the seeker, and then you have the grenade for Steven, and then poison Ludmila's food. I guess that's one approach, or the grenade for Ludmila and the keys for Steven. I think it will get really interesting at that point.
Let me have them. I'll use the on-map emetic syringe for the first time in history.
Oh, actually.
But yeah, it's important to know that the players do send in their bans independently. So in the case that they both happen to pick the Seeker for instance, that's going to be the only item banned. You do not have to have 2 on this one. just to kind of even out. Player B bans first on the first map, player A bans first on the second map, and then neutral playing field for the last one.
It's a really interesting mind game, because I think it really comes down to seeker or no seeker, and then here we see 0, 1 or 2 seekers, as Foppe says, the double seeker ban. Of course, it's not the only thing.
I think it's definitely going to be either a single seeker ban or a single remote emetic ban. We got the prisoner's dilemma going on in Hitman at this point.
We will figure out pretty soon, and briefcases are not banned according to Moo's sign, but he's hoping to put something, of course, in the IC executive briefcase MK2, which I think I've seen end a run in Roulette Rivals just because it flew slower than the regular briefcase.
Fortunately, I don't think I have access to that one, but I would definitely use it.
And here's the dilemma conclusion.
All breaching charges. This is completely different from what I was expecting.
Okay. Well, then this seems like a vanilla. Okay, with one caveat, I guess. But so the breaching charges do open doors, as it do the silenced SMGs. But yeah,
I think breaching charge. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I think the only place I would use that would be on the screen in Tyson's
cinema
theater.
Screen, yeah. And even then, lately, I think it's become a routine to finish the ISO, Jack Tyson next to it, Jack the Disguise next to it, and you basically do it without. So I'm curious who banned the breaching charges. I think it was left side Yannini, and trying to.
I think it was Moo actually, based on the chat that banned the breaching charge.
Okay.
Based on the Discord channel.
Indeed.
So all silenced SMGs is interesting because other than that just being a kill method, I'm not sure what else it would be for specifically.
That's a good question, because like the only property I would say about the silenced SMG, but it's not even unique, because that it's a silenced firearm and a crowbar. But of course the F8 does it as well. Yeah,
so the fact that there's loud and silenced pistols on the map, I guess the only thing is that now you're guaranteed to only have at most one firearm that you have to bring into the map itself. Because if you ended up with, say, silenced SMG and loud sniper rifle, right, you would have to bring both of those in yourself, and that could be a bit of an annoyance for a game plan. But of course then you have other items that aren't available on the map, like poison syringe, that it could also have sort of a similar effect on your loadout.
Yeah, a very interesting choice, and I think it will converge towards the same loadout, but a very exciting decider coming up next. What do we have here for no time limit, Chris?
Oh my goodness, we got the Screwdriver as resort guard for Tyson Williams, Drowning as the Butler for Stephen Bradley, and the Jarl's Pirate Saber as tech crew. That's one I don't see too often, but it is smuggleable.
That's brilliant. And I think it's another dilemma then, whether you want to bring it in as an agency pickup or dig it up as the with the shower, and then both are immediately going for Villa Beach storage.
And if you do choose to dig it up, you do actually have to collect all of the map pieces. It's a requirement for this tournament.
Punky delivering.
That I just made up.
Season 2 is, if it's coming, then I will suggest it to Punk, and I think he's looking for suggestions like this as well. Move with the banana, Yanni as well. What am I missing to make this as a part of default routine, because I don't use it as well.
So Drowning for Stephen Bradley, that's like one of the most straightforward kills you can get. And then the Screwdriver for Tyson. There's a Screwdriver in the room where you're probably going to isolate him. So mostly it's going to be just optimizing, getting these disguise chains together. And we see an early rip there from Yannini as well.
And of course, I apologize. The banana is fairly default for the butler grab, which will happen after Tyson isolation. If you don't
Those
forget to pick
free
up
coins.
the coins, yeah. Yannini's Rip was picking up the gold idol, the knockout item here. Yanni's a bit behind than the default case, and Tyson may be coming in here. No, that will be fine for the hide, and remains only the 30-second disadvantage compared to Moo.
So Moo's gonna hope that he'll actually get a lock-on prompt on Tyson's head here from the other side.
To my experience, it's very generous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Yanni gets suspicious, picking up the gold idol again. It's just illegal.
Walks into a closet.
2 rips by Yannini, both because of the gold idol, and now minute 30 for Moo. It's his lead.
So, Butler and tech crew, no matter how much I've tried to make it happen, there is no tech crew outside of the villa. So there's going to be some amount of back and forth there. Wondering if there's any sort of optimization that the players will try to fit into that space.
Speaking of back and forth, the agency pickups is still untouched by Moo, so that will be further back in the Villa Beach storage. But I would imagine that once Moo has this disguise in the next 15 seconds, then he still has plenty of time to finally get back down there. Body's found immediately, but hidden behind the couch. He's perfectly fine here, and Moo's not coming for a saber. Probably a bit of a misstep there, because this will increase the back and forth. Although as long as he comes back for the tech crew, which he will be of course, he will likely realize the sabers there as well. So on his third run, Yanni has the ISO, set up the disguise there. The bodyguard for extra safety. And Tyson should be next to the wall as well, or the screen. And yeah, it's agency pickup and butler for both of these players in this minute. But Yanni doesn't go for the banana. He likes to use the gramophone and the throne distraction. We'll see in a very specific moment, I think before the gramophone hits, so that the butler is the one reacting. You can see the I don't think that was as expected, but
It was not close enough, I think.
But it's certainly turning away the 2 NPCs, and Yanni's just going to go for it regardless.
I'll be very happy for him if this actually does work.
And it does.
Wow.
It's sort of a death sentence because of the roaming maid, but it's like it's not 100%, but if it's 95, then Yanni's got a gold mine there.
Honestly, more of my fear is the fact that I've never tried to do anything illegal in that spot specifically, and obviously there's cuts in every wall on the villa, so
yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure how likely I would have been to try that, but I mean, we see on Moo's end now, he's got a panic on Steven, which includes a body found. So, like, you know, even if you try to make him sick again and maintain your run, there's always that weird thing where you have to wonder for the rest of the spin if he actually spread that compromised or not. And you really don't have much of a way of knowing in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and if the second Seeker does salvage things for Moo minutes down the line, then Ludmila's timing would be all messed up and you wouldn't have a Seeker left for her. So definitely a change in momentum. Yanni 3 minutes into the run compared to half a minute for Moo, who now has to restart, but otherwise it's fairly straightforward, and he worked very well towards that first kill of Steven.
And I mean, he's already got the saber on him. Just kind of expect to grab the tech crew that opens the door for you, and then he'll have really everything he needs. All he has to do is kind of land these ometics and land them well.
Still quite a few minutes from the end, but it's a good chunk of it is waiting for targets to get to bathrooms first. Steven, good half a minute until that drown prompt will appear, and then of course the Ludmila ISO will take a while as well. I would imagine that Tyson is going to be the second kill here. Finally opens the door, nice.
Yeah, I wonder if that bug will ever get fixed now.
And it's almost a feature by now.
Yeah.
I do remember another highlight where, which you casted Yanni's run, where this particular Villa guard ruined Steven drowning, but won't be this time for Yanni and has the first kill.
Face in the toilet, and all these bodies will be fine here.
Changes into the guard so that I wouldn't be able to compare the disguises, the enforcers for the disguises, but always a safe choice, even though you really want to have the whoosh for the Ludmilla Seeker, otherwise it's always a tiny bit scary.
That's something that I know to do every run and forget to do in about half of them, so...
Just some of these are really particular movements. And Yanni just a bit quicker than Ludmilla, but you can see the waitress leaving and don't see any civilians causing any issues. No target lockdown either, no soft lockdown.
Very nice.
And the tech crew being too far away, don't imagine there's going to be any optimizations from Yanni here possible. Just going to wait until she's down. Hand washer is here, our old friend, so can take care of him first, and then Ludmilla and the guard.
And then kind of all he has is 2 straight lines back and forth. Not really anything left other than dodging any enforcers that might stand in the way at that point.
Yanni kind of needs to close that door soon. I'm not sure if that door got stuck in Handwasher's leg, but suppose that's fine and a quick KO is done on the guard, and it's probably the end of the live action here because every other role in this spin is now knocked out. Yanni going to go to Tyson now for the second kill, and then down for the tech crew, which is already set up. That's a body found, but a sedative for Moo.
And I mean, Yannini has got that, if my memory serves me, he's got the bodyguard disguise set up right next to that screen, so that'll give him an out as soon as he gets up there.
I'm not sure if he got the keys before, but that's marginal, as Moo has quite a situation. He wanted to grab this resort guard.
Yeah, there's a lot of eyes around here.
It's a genius move regardless.
The map
but
running to come stare at this guard's body.
I think it's a great move on any of the maps, but on Haven it's just tiny bit more scary, and said it doesn't work out, but can still back it up here with the lonely guard there.
Yeah, Command, there's some kind of ruckus down here. Have a look around.
And Yanni has the second kill down. Gets the prompt on the bodyguard. Now that was close. Closer than the lock one Tyson. And then finds the camera, so he has to take the pipe downstairs. Of course, the keys in the villa are not a factor because he is exiting speedboat next to the Ludmilla's toilet, so it doesn't matter what items Yanni will take at this point, as long as he gets the tech crew, which is already set up.
Doesn't even go for the secret entrance. SMH.
He could do it as well. I mean, you can do it in any disguise, but it's only legal as bodyguard. Missed opportunity, but the final disguise of this match, no doubt. Briefcase is next to Ludmilla, and it is just a bit more running. Not a quick spin, of course. With exactly 2 video disguises, you will always have this awkwardness, and if Steven wasn't drowning, I think this would be the combination where the server lure gang would start to make it competitive here, but I think for Steven it's not really not as straightforward, not in a match as a first try, and this is a first, not that's a first try for Yannini because he had some early rips, but otherwise a strong first good run, and we'll complete this comeback and defeat Mu 2-1 in this decider.
We're still a lower bracket for Mo to go in, which I would be very surprised if he went quite far. So, not over yet.
Yeah, the magic of these double elimination brackets that people can always meet again with different results, but for now it is Yanni taking the winners bracket lead and turning Mu into someone. It's not going so well, but Mu can be just as much of a beast in the lower bracket as Yanni before, and we'll see how he does in the future matches. And then Joker already spoiling the the brackets, and he will play Yannini. So we'll just show the brackets, I think, right now.
Already been up.
Back to night mode because it's better, and yeah, it is now the fourth match of winners bracket round 2. We have 7 of 8 in round 2 now. Mendo versus Matty Spice, Finio versus ChrisX3, myself versus Mika or Papírfesze, and then the last match here will be Joker J versus Yannini for a spot in the final 4 of winners bracket. And this means that, oh, that's a, what a matchup there, Mu versus Death Observer. Not so much roulette rivals as roulette friends, but that will be exciting to see and sad for someone to be out in round 1. But for them, the lower bracket begins, and for Yannini, the winners bracket continues. You can also look at the upcoming matches tab, and this busy evening has now come to an end from the European side of things, because there will be a North American evening match at 4:15 a.m. Central European Summer Time, 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Mika versus Papírfesze for that last spot in round 2, and then currently one match scheduled, which is first of the round 2 matches, Mendo versus Matty, still in the winners bracket, and then of course we'll see the lower bracket start to get populated and matches scheduled down there as well. Any thoughts or takeaways, Chris, from this match?
Thoughts were, I mean, decider I think was to be expected between these two players, and as I always say, Sapienza is kind of a toss-up, but you've got Sgáil and Haven I could easily see going both ways as well, so nice map, and yeah, players did as well as to be expected. I mean, strats were prepared from the beginning, and then it was kind of just a question of either player had any early rips or not.
Yeah, there weren't big differences there. We could see Yanni finish Sapienza after losing. We could see the finishing rounds, or like how the round would have finished for Mu in the other 2 maps. So it was kind of close and just came down to those early rips. Definitely both forces to be reckoned with in future rounds, but those future rounds will have to wait for another day, and a bit of a break for us for at least 5 hours until the next match. So thank you once again everyone for watching. Thank you GK Punk for not just the tournament idea, but for this long adminning streak. And thank you ChrisX3 for joining me for the co-cast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And that should be it from us. So see you guys for the next match. Bye bye.
See you.